Hello. I'm back in my kitchen, as you can tell. Um, I'm gonna really try to stop saying a lot in these videos. I'll get to that in a minute, but I finally found time where I'm able to record in this space without any real distractions. Hopefully for a good 20, 30 minutes. We'll see how long this goes. I'm preheating a pizza at the moment, and because I eat like garbage, so we're going to use that to our advantage today. Regarding me saying a lot, I'm realizing that with these videos being put out, I think the consistency in which I've been giving them, which is not a lot of consistency to be honest, um, I think that's sort of where the videos are lacking, and I want to be able to give them a space, an area where I can kind of make them something of my own rather than something that I'm just doing in time that I have. And like I said, between two jobs that I'm working, I'm really wanting to find intentionality with that time and be able to make it work, but also make it something that's listenable and not just. Um, frankly, it's not great, with like audio issues in the back, and I've got the windows open, so I'm really hoping that that is not that big of a deal. I'm gonna listen back and hope that that's not a problem, but I just want it to be better as I'm continuing to make these things and trying to put my best foot forward with recording these things. I want it to be more of a rambling session of me just kind of going through my day. What am I thinking about? What am I dealing with? Rather than it feeling a little more preachy, which I feel have been the past few videos. I was going through a lot, and I still am. And I don't mean that to be an excuse. I think that's just where my mind's at. But gaining some clarity today, I feel like I would rather have them be something that I just truly let be this sort of free form thing, rather than me being like, I'm gonna tell you about my problems today. I think there's a level to that where I can do that, just not maybe make it so melancholy all the time. And I think really that has just been the trend. But anyway, that's enough of that. I've got a couple minutes while the oven is preheating, and yeah, life has been it's been good so far. As you could tell from the past couple videos, I've been going through it, but things have been good. I'm really doing well as a barista, which I didn't think I would be really good at being a barista, and secondly, I didn't think I would like it nearly as much as I am liking it. And I'm really really liking this job. Dare I say, and this is crazy because I think now on my Instagram I'm getting a lot of like barista related videos. And the consensus is obviously that being a barista is not the greatest job in the world. So maybe this is a hot take in barista world, but I really really like being a barista. I like making coffee. I didn't think I would, but there's a level to it where I can kind of gamify it a little bit. And those of you who've worked in the food service industry, or maybe just any service job, maybe you know what I'm talking about. But I've worked a lot of jobs. Most of them have been in the food service industry, and they are jobs where you're kind of able to, I don't want to say disassociate because that's not the right word, but there's a level to it that you're able to you turn it into a game. There's a certain level of fun that comes with doing a type of job like that. There are other jobs, most of the jobs that I've worked that have been just sort of straight labor, and it's backbreaking. It's not fun. You know, I mean, not to sound all communist or socialist or whatever buzzword that's gonna get my channel blacklisted on here, but there are certain jobs where it's just pure work and that's it. There's no joy to be found in it. There's no fun. I mean, I'm kind of working one of those jobs right now. I it's part, I love the people I work with. I enjoy it very much, like going in and seeing them and getting to talk with them and hang out with them. But the work itself is truly, it drains me every shift. But I don't feel that way with this barista job. And I think it's because I'm able to kind of gamify it. Pulling espresso shots has been one of the most exciting things about this job, and every shift I go in, I'm like secretly praying that I'm allowed to be back on the bar, because it's amazing. And even when I'm on different stations, which is really just kind of either preparing the drinks for the espresso shots or being up at the cashier window, taking orders, it's so different, and it's something that truly is. It's just a game. It's like Papa's Pizzeria, truly and honestly, in real life, and it's so much fun. It really is. I'm getting into latte art right now, which is not something that I also thought I would really like, but I really like trying to make latte art. I'm not really good at it, but I'm getting there, and my hearts are looking a lot more like hearts and not like lumpy butts, and that's kind of cool seeing the progress on that. And I really haven't been that excited about a job in like a really really long time. Yeah, it's crazy. And then the people I work with are very lovely. They're all so sweet and very kind, very cool. I like cool to the point where I feel very uncool by comparison. Um, they are also kind of. I think I'm older than them. I'm not the oldest there, but it's still a level to where I feel unk, and that's a crazy feeling. Um, that's the alarm clock going off. But yeah, it's not in a bad way. I think it's just sort of how I perceive myself. Old habits die hard, and I'm trying not to think of myself as an uncool person. I know I'm cool. I know I've got things that make me interesting, and I'm trying not to think of myself as an uncool person. But when I'm working with very very cool people, you end up feeling not as cool. But again, they're very nice. They're not the type of cool people that make you feel not cool. They're awesome. But yeah, it's weird. I think anyone who really knows me may have this perception of me that I just don't like to work. When I went into my other job the other day, one of my coworkers had told me that, yeah, I always look forward to seeing you, but then I see that you have given up your shift or you call in sick. And I mean, honestly, yeah, for sure. I do that quite a bit in terms of that specific job, but it's just one of those things, man. It's one of those jobs that really, it just drains you. It drains you in the worst possible ways. I feel like I'm giving so much of myself into this job that. One second. Okay, sorry. The oven was done preheating. But yeah, it's one of those jobs. I mean, I know one of my coworkers is at least watching this. Um, I don't want to name drop them for the sake of anonymity, and in case my job finds this and decides to sue me because I signed that I can't really talk about it. But they know it sucks. It's not great working there in terms of what we have to deal with and just the labor in and of itself. There are jobs where that it is just straight labor, but you're able to have a sort of support system, upper management wise, that understands that nature of work and working for a company, especially in a restaurant context. But we don't have that here. So, yeah, of course, I really like the other job where I'm able to just be present and pull shots. There was a car honking outside, so I apologize. Anyway, but yeah, it's trying to balance both of these things because there again are merits to both jobs. I think right now where I'm at in my life, I need to have both of these jobs. And that's okay too. I think because I'm able to sort of thrive in one area of my life, the other one, which is sort of lacking, um, in fulfillment, I should say, in terms of working, because this is very capitalist of me to say. Again, I'm playing both sides here. You know, I like working. It's a sort of fact about myself that I've known for a long time. I like working. I do. I like being able to do tasks, and learn new ways to do said tasks. It's just kind of how I'm hardwired. You know, I've worked mostly in food service jobs, but there have been points where I've gotten sick of it because of the jobs themselves, and I've decided to do office work and work in those kind of jobs where I was an administrative assistant, or this is crazy. I used to sell apartments to people. I was a community consultant for an apartment complex, and those in between jobs of working in like restaurants and whatnot, they would be nice for a little bit because they would offer some sort of consistency, more a regimented timeline where, you know, I have to wake up, be there by 6. It's a 9 to 5, you know, which I know I said I get there by 6, but whatever. You know what I mean? It was more structured where I got off at a certain time, I got in at a certain time. Each day sort of brought the same thing. Whereas working in a restaurant, there are an infinite amount of possibilities that could go right or wrong, and you never know what the day's going to bring you. You just kind of have to deal with it as it comes. But when I would work in those office jobs, there would always be a point where I could do the work, and maybe I even found a little bit of joy in doing the work. You know, there's a way that you can kind of gamify office jobs, I think, or certain office jobs, or at least for me. But then I would get that itch, and that itch can only really be described as that chaos that can be found in the restaurant industry. I don't know what other name to give it. That's just what it is. And there's always a certain point. I don't think I've ever worked at an office job where I did not quit after at least 2 years. And that's a lot. Yeah, it's 2 years of time, but that's like the maximum amount of time. I've never really been able to stay at office jobs that long because I don't know. It's too little, I guess. I think a lot of people who work in those sorts of jobs would maybe say otherwise. And even people I've met, like, who work in the restaurant industry, or food service industry rather, that would say the opposite of what I'm saying, that they would much rather just sit at a reception's office doing whatever, you know. I don't think I can do that. And I know that about myself, and I'm comfortable with knowing that about myself and who I am. But I know that requires me finding a job like the barista job, that it feels like I finally have found the thing that really it scratches that itch, and it makes me feel fulfilled. It gives me the right amount of chaos, and it doesn't make me sick to my stomach having to like wake up and be like, oh, I've got to close or I've got to shift at this job. And that's being very, I guess, unfair to the non-barista job. It has its merits. And as of late, I think I've really been able to kind of disassociate myself from the frustration. And that's sort of its own thing. And not to get preachy, like, because I said I didn't want to get preachy when I did these things, but I think so often, especially working in jobs like this, pardon me, there's a level to it where you kind of have to disassociate. My goodness, sorry. There's a kind of a level where you have to disassociate with that, because being present always, especially in the restaurant industry, or again, I keep saying restaurant industry, but you know what I mean. It's tomato, tomato. There's a level to it where there are so many things that can attack you, just whether that's like a customer being annoying or a pain in the ass because it's their first day on earth and they've never really known what it's like to interact with another human being with some sort of like pleasantry. And or just things messing up, you know what I mean? Like an order got misplaced, or, you know, you did something wrong, whatever it is, a mistake, regardless. There's a level to it where if you were a little too present in those situations, it eats you alive. Because the very nature of it, of one, feeling like you're not doing enough, two, being like, why am I even here? Why do I have to live in a world where I have to serve people who are mean to me, who look at me like I'm subhuman, with a smile on my face and say, what else can I get you? It's demeaning. And there's no other way to put that, you know. For a lot of jobs like that, it's demeaning. Because there's no sense of respect. I mean, especially, and not to trash talk where I'm at now, but especially in places like Los Angeles, where everyone is sort of in their own world, their own bubble, that they don't even look at you like a person. You are no more than a robot. You're no more different than those robots that you sometimes see in big cities that are literally food delivery robots. That's how they see you. That's what it feels like, at the very least. And again, that's not to equate for everything. Sometimes you'll have moments where you'll like encounter really nice people and have real, genuine human connection with these people. A lot of the time, though, it's gonna be not pleasant, and it's not gonna be something worth remembering, because they'll give you an attitude, or they just won't understand that, like, I'm having to be at this job to survive. And that's just the nature of things. That's fine. I'm not trying to argue this, that, or the other. But there's a level to it when I approach the front counter taking an order to somebody. I'm like, hi, welcome in. And they're like, I need a minute. No hello. No, hey, how are you doing? I'm good. Like, I was just saying hello, and now you've given me this energy that I am nothing more than a robot taking your order. I'm really not going to be carrying joy into that situation. And because of those situations, because of those circumstances, you do have to kind of have a sort of disassociation where you're just, and it does kind of suck because you end up that wasn't right. You end up fulfilling that sort of idea where you kind of become a robot. You treat the interaction with a monotonous tone. You don't really have any zeal, passion. You just, what can I get you? Okay, anything else? All right. It totals whatever. You know, here you go. And that's unfortunate. But I think when you're able to disassociate it, or disassociate from that, it does make it a little bit easier. And it's a hard balance to find, because it's hard not to let things affect us, you know? We're all carrying our own baggage. We've all got our own stuff going on. I know I do. As evident, again, by the videos that I've been posting before. So you can't always let that negativity continuously in. And again, it's not always something that you can help, but at the very least, it's something to try to be aware of and try to be more, I was going to say the same thing, cognizant. Be more aware of that. Because when you are, you're able to kind of look back, take a step back, and be like, all right, I'm not going to let this stranger ruin my day. I'm not going to give this guy the power over me, or girl, whatever, whoever. I'm not going to let this person have that power over me to ruin my day. Because when you do, it creates it, or it makes it something so much bigger in your head than it is to the person that did it to you. I have so many people who come into me who are rude to me at work, who just belittle me in the smallest ways, and I guarantee you, I know this without a shadow of a doubt in my mind, they do not think about me. They don't. Pardon my French, they don't give a fuck about me. They do not. And yet I'm over here thinking constantly about them, constantly about how they really, they just, they're so annoying. They're so mean. How can they go about life being this careless, this callous, this cruel? They're not thinking about that. They're going about their day and doing the same thing to like 17 other people. They do not care. And so you gotta have to bring that level back to them of not caring otherwise. It's matching the energy, you know? And as someone who is a recovering people pleaser, that is a really, really hard thing to do, is match the energy. Because you want, it's this stupid little voice that you're like, I want to be liked by everybody. I want them to like me. I want to be, sorry, I want them to like me. I want to be seen as likable, pleasant. I want people to be nice to me. And honestly, that is not a terrible thing to want. It is a little unrealistic though. And especially being in that sort of job or industry. And it's something to work past. Because at the end of the day, these customers that come in, they do not matter at the end of the day. Again, you will have some good interactions, and those, sure, let them be something that propels you forward. Let them be good memories of like, wow, I really liked that I made that person smile, or I had a really good conversation with them. Others, my mom would say this a lot, you just blow it out your ass and be done with it. And it's such a simple truth, but even now, there are days where I struggle with that. And I think it's important too to give yourself grace because you're human and you're working in a restaurant or restaurant adjacent, whatever. It's not easy. So I think it's also important to give yourself grace where there will be moments where you might have a crash out or where you get really frustrated. And it's maybe a level of frustration that you know isn't indicative of who you are as a person, but the very nature of working a job like that can sometimes bring that out of you. And it's important to be able to realize that that's not who you are and that it's going to be okay. At the end of the day, we're all going to be able to clock out at this shift, go home, rest, and move on with our day. And so, yeah, I've been rambling for 22 minutes, and that is crazy. And in the same location. We've maybe paused like 2 times, and that's really nice. Yeah. This feels more in line with what I've been wanting to do with this channel, just kind of rambling, truly yapping, not just sort of long pauses, awkward silences, me not being able to look at the camera, confidently. But I think I'm working past that, and so I hope you'll forgive me. And yeah, thank you so much if you've stuck to the end of this video. I mean, this is a long video, so thank you if you are watching at this point and hearing me say this now. So I hope you're doing well. Please keep taking care of yourself. Know that you are loved, you are cherished, and I will talk to you guys in the next video, okay?